Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers, so your subscription would be much appreciated. We're a little bit less than 5,000 subs away from that goal, so if you could make that happen, if you're new here and you haven't subbed already, that would be appreciated. So, Jacob, Rusty, what the hell do you mean the Milwaukee Bucks are underappreciated or deserve more recognition or whatever you titled it? That seems preposterous. The Bucks are universally recognized as one of the top contenders in the league, if not the top contender. Giannis is universally recognized as one of the best, if not the best player. How could a team possibly not be getting the credit that it deserves with all of those things being the case? Well, unless you are specifically a Bucks fan and specifically watch a lot of Bucks games and are like really in tune with the NBA space, are you aware that the Bucks were on like a 15-game win streak or something like that? It got snapped by the New York Knicks very recently, so I was planning on making this video before that happened, and that kind of, rained on the parade a little bit, but still, that win streak was huge. It's also, I believe, the third biggest win streak from the last couple of years, of which the Milwaukee Bucks own like all three of them, if I'm not mistaken. That's not something that I have seen the media emphasize really at all, but the main thing is that, yes, everybody knows that the Milwaukee Bucks are good. Everybody understands that they are going to be a huge contender. Same thing applies to Giannis. Everyone understands that he's really good, right? But they're just never a part of the conversation in the way that other contenders just kind of always are. They're not a team that really gets media attention, and part of that is because the media loves drama and the Bucks are really just not even remotely drama related. The closest thing to media coverage that anything related to the Bucks has happened is when Giannis made a joke about Kevin Durant on the Daily Show with Hassan Minhaj. Yeah, I don't really feel like the Bucks have gotten said coverage, so here I am, mediocre NBA YouTuber on his even worse YouTube channel talking about the Bucks. And another thing that I want to focus on here is Giannis. Giannis himself, and the fact that his MVP case for the second year in a row has all but been unmentioned. Last year, Giannis was my pick for MVP. He ended up not getting it, obviously. And this year, I've seen a lot of people, and I'm still very much on the Jokic's MVP train, but I've seen a decent amount of people suggest that, and I've even done it a little bit here or there, in hindsight, a little bit regretfully, that this was by far and away Nikola Jokic's MVP. But if you break down what Jokic's case is, and then you look at the resume that Giannis has for this season, you'll notice that the cases are pretty freaking similar. One of the top records in the league, obviously making them one of the best teams in the league, and then he also has the monstrous stats, the monstrous impact metrics. For all intents and purposes, Giannis is putting up a ridiculous all-time great MVP level season. But that is something that has gone unrecognized because we have gotten used to the excellence of Giannis. And that's something that happens all the time, and it's not necessarily unique to the Bucks, not unique to Giannis. In fact, I truly believe that a lot of the reason that people are so anti-Jokic winning the MVP this year, other than the fact that it would make him the fourth player to three-peat, because Larry Bird, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain all did that. He would be the fourth player to three-peat MVPs. Outside of that factor, I think it's also that people have started to get used to the excellence of Nikola Jokic. So now there's no novelty to this being something that he's doing for the first time, or that people are starting to recognize for the first time. Instead, it's just Nikola Jokic is doing Nikola Jokic things, and Giannis has very much fallen into that camp. Giannis is averaging 30 points per game, great efficiency, one of the best, if not the best defender in all of basketball, and the Bucks have one of the best records in the league and are the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, although them and the Celtics keep trading places, so maybe they aren't by the time this video comes out. So given all of that, why is why are the Bucks just not talked about? Now I understand, again, I just made that point, but they're not the most exciting team in the world. They're also not, when you look at their half-court offense, it can be quite hard to watch from time to time. There are a lot of people who don't find Giannis's game to be aesthetically pleasing, and while I wouldn't use the phrase aesthetically pleasing to describe Giannis's play style, I do find it very entertaining. Yeah, it's just the consistent excellence, I think, is really the thing. Obviously, they were not as amazing to open this year, and they've turned things around quite a bit. Their half-court offense, as I previously mentioned, was awful. Their half-court offense has been awful pretty much always. Even you go back to their 2021 playoff run, even though they won a championship, obviously, there was some serious inconsistency in whether or not that half-court offense even worked. That's also when I developed my big hate for Brook Lopez and the fact that just the Bucks to me seemed way better whenever Giannis was at center. But getting distracted here. I understand that they're not the most fun team in the world, and at a certain point, how many times can you just report, hey, the Bucks are good? But it needs to be pointed out. Anytime something like this happens, it deserves to be pointed out. A 15, 16 game win streak, whatever it ended up being, that's something that should be a headliner in the NBA media. It's something that we should all be talking about rather than a side story, if that. Like, they're gonna have another freaking LeBron MJ debate. Meanwhile, this is what's going on. And it's a thing that I always complain about. I realize that, but it's just so annoying to me when the same storylines and narratives are all we can talk about. Meanwhile, there are excellent basketball things happening that the national media just refuses to cover. And the thing is, like, their justification for it, of course, Nick Wright said this about Nikola Jokic. Their justification for it is that those teams, they don't really bring in viewership. People don't click on things about the Milwaukee Bucks, really. But that's, to me, I've talked about this before, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If collectively, everybody in the NBA media just talked about the Bucks one day, guess what? People would tune into that because it's what they're being given. If you consistently only give people stuff that's covering drama or big market stuff, then that's all anyone's going to care about. That's all anyone is going to talk about. You have cultivated that specific audience, and it kind of shoots people it shoots them in the foot. And it kind of sucks for people like me because I unfortunately don't have the influence as much as I'd like to shape the narrative that significantly. So this is a second channel video instead of a main channel video because I know if I made a video on the Bucks, it would not do that well. But yeah, I guess it's more a rant than anything else. And as you know, I'm kind of using the Milwaukee Bucks as a vehicle to complain here, but it's just very annoying to me when things like this go under the radar. And yeah, I guess that's the point. Sometimes these second channel videos, I'm well aware, are literally just me complaining to a camera, but you know what? Y'all seem to like it for some reason. I routinely hear that people like this channel more than my main channel, which to me is insanity because if I was looking at it objectively, I would way prefer the main channel stuff. But you know, I appreciate that y'all like this garbage. Anyways, shout out to Rudy for editing the video, and goodbye.